Okay, hi. Our last video is on question 3. This is the one that probably relates to you guys the most. Sorry for my technology issue there. And that is, who gets the stuff? Who gets the products? You're not usually involved in the producing and all this. You're involved more in the consuming. So here we're getting into who gets the stuff. Okay? And your two options, and you got to think of these as extremes, is those people who afford them, who can pay for it, and who choose to pay for it. Not everybody, credit cards, but also some people make choices like, I'd rather buy drugs than feed my child, or I'd rather drive a Corvette than live in a nice house, which, so be it. For the second one, the first one's a bit of a problem, obviously. And then your other option we'll get to in a second here, but those who choose to afford. So think about a society where the only way to get something is to pay for it. Okay? And we're not that completely. So no free lunch at school, no welfare, no food stamps. None of that. Okay? What's good about that? And the answer here is it's going to reward people that work hard. You probably have, some of you have some relative, well, if those people won't work for it, they shouldn't get it, that kind of thing, as long as they're able to. But it rewards hard work, and more so, it rewards excellence. If you work hard and are good at something, especially something that the market likes, computers, technology, sports, I suppose, you're going to get paid more, which is, gives you that incentive to keep doing it and creating and working harder and working more and so on and so forth. The negative, though, is that some people are not going to get anything. You're going to have people that cannot think handicapped mentally, think handicapped physically, think both. Think the people whose skills don't fit what the market wants. You can be the world's greatest artist, but if your art doesn't fit what people are buying, then you're going to be poor. Van Gogh, back in the day, he died poor. A lot of artists died poor, and then later on, you discover, well, that little good that did him at the time. Okay, so some people will get nothing, and that could be children, but it could also be those who will not. So think about cannot versus will not do something. Should there be a difference between those two? Okay. Our second option is what is called equitable, and in this case, equitable simply means fair, if you will, not equal necessarily, but fair distribution. Okay, and here, this is where you got what you probably, if you're figuring this out, this socialist idea, is that everybody gets something. If you think about two people get a job at a factory and they do exactly the same thing, they that kind of thing. Everybody gets paid the same amount for doing the same job. Even if some people work harder than others, even if some people are better at than others, you still want everybody to have something. That could be a job, that could be transportation, healthcare, free healthcare. Some countries do subsidize sporting programs, things like that. Parks are an example sort of this. But everybody gets something, even if it's not a lot, it's a base, okay? Don't write this down necessarily, but the UBI, if you know what that is, Universal Basic Income, Andrew Yang had talked about, is a version of this. And the negative here is that, in theory, there's less incentive to work, and definitely less incentive to excel. If you are, the person that you and your friend get a job at the same place, and you work like this and they work like this, and you see they get the same paycheck, what's likely to happen? You're going to have an incentive to, because you're going to get paid either way. If you know you're going to get paid either way, if you know you're going to get something for free without any problem, do you work as hard for it? Some do because they're driven, but a lot of people don't because the motivation is the money. The motivation is the promotion and things like that. So, there's good and bad with both of these, as always. Okay. Now, to close this, which are we? Theoretically, most of the things, other than your school lunch, you or your mom or your dad or your boyfriend or girlfriend or aunt or uncle or whatever, buy. But there are things, when you think about things like welfare and food stamps and like I said, free parks and things like that, these are equitable distributions. So we are here, but one could argue, I don't worry too much about this, we are moving more that way. And when you talk about things like increasing the minimum wage, when you talk about, quote, free college, forgiving student loan debt, all those things that are being talked about, for better or for worse, I'm not saying it's good or bad, we are moving more toward that to some degree. Whereas a pure socialist country, which really doesn't exist, is here already. And no, this doesn't exist either. This is, law of the jungle, basically. So, okay, well, those are your 3 questions. So if any questions you have, let me know. And otherwise, that finishes us for this little part. All right, bye.